everyone, and welcome back to another Samurai Guitar Sunday. This is the series where we take it easy, we keep it chill, we check out and talk about guitar and music related stuff. I'm very excited about the show today. I can safely say that this episode is going to be one of the two best that I've ever made in this series. Now, what you just heard in the opening jam there was my attempt at doing the whole Stevie Ray Vaughan thing. He's one of my absolute favorite guitarists, one of my biggest influences, and I have so much fun playing in that style, even if everyone and their mother has tried to imitate SRV at some point. His licks are so much fun to play. And if you want to check out the tab for that jam or any of the backing tracks, I got those available over my Patreon page. To kick things off, let's see what went on this week in the world of music. Looks like Justin Bieber got a whole lot richer, selling his catalog for $200 million. Hypnosis Songs Capital has closed its deal to buy 100% of Justin Bieber's publishing as well as his artist royalties from his master recordings and neighboring rights. The deal is priced at just north of $200 million, making this the largest right sale for any artist of Bieber's generation. Over the last little while, we've seen a lot of artists selling their rights and their royalties for massive paychecks. Now, I haven't existed in the traditional music world for quite some time. I had never heard of this happening before, so I did a little bit of research to figure out what's going on with this. Historically, an artist would hang on to the rights to their music as tightly as they could, but there are a couple of reasons why selling for these massive amounts of money would make sense to someone. You see a number of older musicians doing this, guys like I think Bruce Springsteen did, Bob Dylan sold his catalog, and one of the reasons is, as you're getting up there in your years, you're starting to think about your estate, making sure that your will's in order, and it's a lot easier to deal with that kind of thing when there's a big lump sum of money to be handed down versus trying to figure out how you're gonna dole out the rights of your music to like your kids and family and whatever. On top of that, you can do a whole lot more with a massively huge multi-generational lump sum of cash, like $200 million, than you could with $4 million that you would gradually collect over 50 years. And you don't even know that you're gonna get that kind of money out of your catalog for the rest of your life. If you're an older guy thinking, hey, maybe I got 20 years left or whatever, if I'm getting this massively huge paycheck, I would never have seen that over the course of those 20 years. Whereas the company that's buying it is probably thinking, we can get more out of this over however many years, and we own this until the rights run out. But it also makes you think, like, how much are the rights to all this art that I've created in my lifetime worth to me? If someone came to you and offered you $100 for the rights to your entire catalog, do you sell it? $200, $1,000? At what point is it worth your while? I know for me, I've made a lot of YouTube videos, made a lot of music in them. How much money would I have to be paid to say, hey, these are yours to do what you want with? I don't know. Hypnosis, if you're throwing around that kind of money, come talk to me. Anything else in the news that we care about here? I don't know that there is. Oh, David Crosby died. Legendary singer-songwriter, was huge back in the 60s and late 70s. I saw him once when I was in grade 11 with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Excellent concert. And besides that, a couple months ago, he liked one of my Instagram posts, or at least whoever runs his social media did. But rest in peace, David Crosby. What else we got here? Brian May got a new guitar. Who cares? Motley Crue started rehearsals with John 5. Who cares? We saw John Frusciante's pedal board, who actually I'd like to see that. Looks like he's got some Moog, whatever you call it, that stuff. MXR, Dunlop, Echoplex, some Boss pedals, big muff. Line 6 thing there. You know, I always find it interesting when I see guys like John Frusciante. He could buy any pedal in the world, get anybody to make any pedal he wants, and a lot of his stuff is just things you could buy at Guitar Center for not that much money. You gotta think some of it's been like heavily modded, or it's some original big muff from like back in the 60s, but kind of interesting, I guess. Before we move on, I'll let you know that this series is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon, or as I've come to call them, the Patreon producers. One of the things I find refreshing about this series is I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. I'm not worrying about how many views these videos get, appealing to the YouTube algorithm. I'm just trying to talk about and do things that I find fun and interesting. And I'm able to do that because of people like you putting a couple bucks in the online tip jar, patreon.com/samuraiguitarist. Through that, I offer a number of unique rewards, things like early access to these videos. I personally respond to every message that any of the patrons send me, tabs for the jams that I play, backing tracks, things like that. If you want to get involved, it would mean the world to me, and it really does help what I do. You can find more information at www.patreon.com/samuraiguitarist. I'll also put up links in the description. Anyways, let's get back to it. Last week, we talked a little bit about artificial intelligence and the implications that it has for musicians. So I figured what we do this week is take a tool like ChatGPT and figure out what, if any, use it can have for a musician. We'll call this segment Musical Experiments. If you're familiar with ChatGPT, it takes a writing prompt and then uses computer AI wizardry to churn something out. Let's do an example here. All right, so let's ask it to do something weird. How about give me a recipe for guitar chicken. All right, guitar chicken recipe. Ingredients: 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons paprika. It looks like we're just making fried chicken here. In a shallow dish mixed together. Yeah, so it's fried chicken here. I don't know how that relates to guitar. In fact, why don't we ask it? How does that relate to guitar? The dish is called guitar chicken because of the shape of the chicken breast. The chicken breast is pounded thin and then shaped like a guitar. But anyway, let's stop freaking around and see if we can do anything musical with this. How about write a song in the style of Guns N' Roses? Okay, here's what we got. I'm walking down the street with a chip on my shoulder. I'm feeling like a loaded gun, just getting bolder. I've got a fire in my soul and a hunger in my heart. I'm gonna take on the world and tear it apart. Wow, that's not bad. It's pretty generic stuff, but I'll tell you, I've done a lot of songwriting critiques and been in a lot of songwriting circles, and I've heard a lot worse lyrics that were written by people who are actively trying to write lyrics and get good at it. Man, there's something to this tool. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to take these lyrics and tweak them around and see if I can improve on them, make them feel a bit more organic, and see if I can take it up a level here. It took me about half an hour to edit these lyrics, and if you want to see me go through that process step by step, talking through my changes, why I made them, and what I did, you can find that video on my Patreon page. But first, let me show you what the AI created. I'm walking down the street with a chip on my shoulder. I'm feeling like a loaded gun, just getting bolder. I've got a fire in my soul and a hunger in my heart. I'm gonna take on the world and tear it apart. Because I'm a rebel with a cause, I'm gonna raise hell and break some laws. I'm living fast and loose with no regrets. I'm a gunslinger, baby, I'm the best. I'm standing on the edge with the wind in my hair. I'm looking at the city and I don't care. I've got a devil-may-care attitude and a killer smile. I'm gonna take what I want and live in style. Repeat the chorus, then we got the bridge. I've got a heart of stone and a will of steel. I'm gonna make my mark and make it real. I'm gonna light the night and burn it bright, because I'm a gunslinger and I'm living for the fight. It's by no means terrible, but I do have some issues with it. The lyrics don't really go anywhere. It's a whole lot of I'm a this, I'm a this, I'm a this, I'm a this. There's no progression to the story. And besides that, some of the lines are fairly clunky. So I tried to smooth over some of the things that I don't like. Here's what I came up with. Coming down your street with a chip on my shoulder, loaded like a gun, and I can only get bolder. Feeding my soul with the fire in my heart, watch me take on your world and tear it apart. Because I'm a rebel with a cause, raising all the hell and breaking your laws, living fast and loose with no regrets. I'm a gunslinger, baby, in a bulletproof vest. Standing on the edge, wind in her hair, she's looking at the city, and you know she don't care. She got a devil-may-cry attitude and a killer smile. Gonna take what she wants, that's my kind of style. Because she's a rebel with a cause, raising all the hell and breaking your laws, living fast and loose with no regrets. She's a gunslinger, baby, in a bulletproof vest. You think you got a heart of stone and a will of steel, trying to make your mark, but I know it ain't real. Cause we're rebels with a cause, raising all the hell and breaking your laws, living fast and loose with no regrets. I got a gunslinger, baby, in a bulletproof vest. That's not too bad. Well done, Sammy G, and the AI co-writer. And if someone had told me that they had unearthed a lost Guns N' Roses song and these were the lyrics, like, I would believe it. This is better than anything that I would have come up with by myself if I had been given this prompt. And I was not expecting that at all. I'm really pretty blown away by this whole thing. It's not at the point where it can just write a song for you and it's done, but to kind of use this as a prompt to spark your creativity, and like this could be an amazing tool for songwriters that could completely flip around the industry. And it might also just take all of our jobs, which would be problematic, but man, this is way more powerful than I thought it was. And as I'm doing this, like I'm realizing more and more the things that you could do with this as a songwriter. Say I'm stuck on a certain line in a song, I could tell ChatGPT, hey, take this line and rewrite it in 20 different ways with this rhyme at the very end. I mean, the possibilities here are crazy. It's also interesting to think about some of the legality and copyright stuff for this. Like the song that I wrote, which I kind of wrote, kind of didn't write, like who's my co-writer here? If this gets published and this became a huge hit, who's getting paid? Do I own all the rights of this? Does the writers of the ChatGPT software get a cut in this? I have no idea. And what happens if/when AI deepfake voice replicators start getting good? Like, what if I could artificially make it sound like Axl Rose in his prime is singing a song like this? I can almost guarantee you that I'm going to be using this to help me come up with YouTube titles. Like I bet you whatever I come up with for this YouTube video, it was in some way helped out by ChatGPT. Let's see if we can come up with chords for this song. Chord progression in the style of Guns N' Roses could be verse G, D, A. Okay. And then for the chorus, we have C, G, D, A. And then for the bridge, B flat, F, C, G. That's kind of a cool modulation. So you'd be going from like a... Now the chord progression of all things is the thing that I think AI could do the easiest. I would like to see a highly powered AI come up with like a guitar solo or a riff or something like that, or a melody, and have it sound human or good. I've tried that. It's not there yet, or really even close, but again, we're at the infant stages of this. What does this look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? I honestly think like this kind of thing could revolutionize the way that music and artists create it. And it's kind of cool, but also kind of terrifying. I found that process pretty interesting. However, let's move on to our next segment here. Hot tips for hot guitar players. I guess we're sticking with that one for the time being. What we're talking about today are some exercises that you can use so that when you learn a new musical phrase or idea or something, you can fast track it deep into your musical subconscious so that you can bring it out naturally without having to think of it. So say I'm learning a solo and this is one of the licks that the guitarist plays. If you just learn that lick and learn how to play it along with the record, it's only really going in surface level, but what you want to be able to do is just embed it deep down in there so that it starts to influence your musical accent. The first thing you can do is play it over and over again until it's almost annoying to hear, but instead of just playing it in one position, you can do some more interesting, slightly musical things with it. So one of the things I might do with that C lick is put it into a musical setting different from the original place that I heard it. So with that, maybe I'll turn it into kind of a bluesy type thing like this. Another exercise I might do is take that idea and start twisting it around a little bit, play with the rhythm, add some different notes, but keep referring back to it throughout the course of the exercise like this. We're looking at this lick from as many different angles as possible, giving us a deeper understanding of it. How about this? We'll take just the rhythm from that lick, which is ba ba da ba 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 ba, and create some ideas with that, forgetting about the original notes. Or how about this? I'm going to try to play those same notes on a different place on the guitar neck. At this point, I've looked at that lick so many different ways. It's going to be something that I can naturally draw on when I go to do a solo. All right, moving on to the next segment, sharing guitar and music stuff with you that I found on the internet. So this one was just so funny to me. Recently, Pink Floyd shared this image to commemorate the 50th anniversary of their legendary album, Dark Side of the Moon. So some of their so-called fans took issue with this, thinking that the rainbow represented the LGBTQ plus flag. Let's read some comments from the post. Lose the rainbow, you're making yourself look stupid. Sad to see a band that was once great has gone full woke. I loved your music before, not listening now. What is the connection between Pink Floyd masterpiece and LGBT? WTF? So first of all, to take issue with this flag and the idea of inclusiveness, just not a great look to begin with. Second of all, to anybody with more than 15 brain cells, it's clearly a reference to one of the most iconic album covers of all time. And third of all, even if this post was about the LGBTQ plus flag, yeah, like that perfectly aligns with the politics that Pink Floyd has put in their art this whole time. I mean, David Gilmour sold all his guitars and donated the proceeds to climate change. What have you been hearing in this music that makes you think that they aren't a very left-leaning organization? And I've entertained the idea that these are satirical troll comments designed to get a rise out of people, but I've just seen so much extreme stupidity in my days of interneting that I know that even if these comments were satire, there's somebody out there that believes this exact kind of thing. And last for today, we're going to take some questions from the audience. These all come from Patreon. Let's get to it. All right, this fellow wants to know a bit about me. He says, we all know Samurai Guitarist, the guitarist, but what do you do outside of music? Who is a samurai person? This job takes over a lot of my life, but when I do have some time just to myself, I usually like to spend it with a guitar in my hands, learning something that I enjoy, which has often been lately just Stevie Ray Vaughan licks or stuff like that. But I've got 2 young kids under the age of 3, and I care a lot about being a good dad and being as involved in their lives as possible. So with the music, with the job, with the kids, like that's taken over most of my time. I cook dinner most nights of the week for the family. So I would say that yeah, I enjoy cooking a fair bit, though really eating is my passion. I try to always level up my cooking game a little bit, even though I'm by no means like a chef or anything. Like I'm always looking at new recipes, trying to do things that make things taste better. For example, I just bought a massive hunk of meat that I dry aged for 45 days, and we cut that up and turned it into steaks, and it was very fun, delicious, rewarding experience. I try to watch as many of my hockey team's games as I can, which is the Winnipeg Jets. Every now and then, Jenny and I will go to games. I also play on a rec league team once or twice a week, and that really makes up the bulk of my socializing. And then besides that, when Jenny and I just have time to ourselves, which I'm telling you, isn't as much as it used to be, we'll usually do stuff like play a video game. We just finished Hollow Knight. We're playing It Takes Two right now. Or we'll watch a TV show. We tend to watch crime documentaries or David Attenborough documentaries. So yeah, that would be my life outside of music. And there you have it. That's another Samurai Guitar Sunday in the books. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. If you have, let me know in the comments. And if you've been really enjoying it, a great way to make this stuff possible is by supporting the channel over at patreon.com/samuraiguitarist. Tossing a couple bucks in the old online tip jar really does go a long ways. I've been having fun with this. I'm going to keep trying to get these videos out as much as possible. They're not replacing the old content, and they're not going to be every week. In fact, next week, I won't have one because I got some other stuff going on. But yeah, maybe the week after that. I don't know. Keeping it casual, keeping it chill. let's wrap this up. I'm going to play you guys out with my take on the softer side of Stevie Ray Vaughan. See you guys again next time.